Welcome, welcome. You listen to 360 Info. I'm your host, Antonio. What you do for yourself depends on what you think of yourself. What you think of yourself depends on what you know of yourself. And what you know of yourself depends on what you've been told of yourself. Yes, yes, welcome, Cleveland. Got a great show for you today. The sun is shining. Yes, Dr. James Brown is going to be on. We're going to be talking about healing that mind, body, and spirit, and the importance of know that, like they say in the Bible, these three are one. But before we get to that, some great announcements for you. We got some things nailed down for you in the June upcoming programs. The first program out the block in June 4th. I want you to make a note of that. Professor James Smalls will be here at Tri-C Eastern Campus. The tickets are $15. That's the first event. You know, get your tickets and give me a call. 216-323-6155. 216-323-6155. We take in the information for if you want your ad in the souvenir book. And you want to be a part of the other events. We're going to be posting. I'm going to get some information over the events so we can post some of the events that's coming on as well. And then we'll give you a site shortly as well so you can know all the runner events that are going on. We're going to be at Ridall. We're going to be at this place on East 142nd Street doing something about law. You in the law program, learning your constitutional rights and several other things. In the remote studio, we got Brother Vince. What's going on with you?
Well, it looks like we're about to turn the corner. I looked up the weather report, and we're going to have 4 straight days of 70s, so it's going to feel a lot more like spring. Gotten quite a bit of rain in the past few days, but it's really nice to turn the corner. The trees are getting their clothes now, and it looks like we have finally emerged from what we call winter here in Cleveland. All right, with that said, we'd like to welcome our first guest to 360 Info Network. He is Bruce Barnes, a.k.a. Kaka, and he is over on the continent of Africa in the country of Gambia, living his best life. Brother Kaka, welcome to 360 Info Network.
The man with boots
thank
on
you
the
for
ground.
having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah, we got you, brother. Yeah, you don't have the internet going over there.
I'm over here. Over here, it's hot. It's 95 degrees plus every day. Sun is out every day. I come to the beach every day. That's where I'm at right now, looking at the Atlantic Ocean.
All right.
And looking at all the beautiful Gambian people. And I flew into Dakar, and we took the bus from Dakar to the Gambia. And when we asked about it, they told us it'll take about 5 hours on smooth roads. Well, it wound up taking us 12 hours altogether because we wanted to see the countryside. And it took us 12 hours to get from Dakar to Banjul, Gambia.
All right.
Very long ride.
You got a chance to talk to some of the natives over there and have a good conversation. Y'all got kind of close to each other, didn't you?
Well, on the bus, we met a brother and his wife and daughter. They're from the Gambia. They were on their way back to the Gambia, and he's been our handler ever since we've been here. He took me to his home, introduced me to his family, his mother, his father, his family, and he's been with us every day, take us anywhere we want to go. And I've been exploring different business opportunities here. They need everything. Okay. When we got to the border on the bus, we got to the Gambian border, and our handler, his name is Mudu, he introduced us to the top immigration official at the Gambian border. So we had to get our visas. You can get them when you get here. So we went in, gave him our passport. He said, "Let me see your passport." We gave him our passport. He looked at them, and when he looked up at us, this is what he said: "Welcome home." Now, I've flown in and out of the United States many times. Never have anyone told me welcome home when I came back to the state. But here, and he's called us 3 times since just to check on our trip to see how we are doing.
Yeah, that's wonderful, man. I think he extended your visa, didn't he, or something? Didn't you tell me that?
He gave us a visa for 5 years, so I can come in and out of the country anytime I want for 5 years. Plus, since I've been here, I've been investigating the transportation business, because here they have no public transportation. Everybody uses taxis, and all the taxis are Mercedes-Benz cars or vans. So I'm looking in. A matter of fact, I met our handler, Mudu, introduced me to his lawyer, who was a good friend of his father's, and he used to be the attorney general for the country of the Gambia. So he's very prominent, very well known, studied in London. He's registered as a barrister in London. He studied there, but then he came back here and became the attorney general for the whole country. So I met with him, and I got a permanent business resident card, so I can do business here. I can import, export anything I want. He told me I can stay here as long as I want.
So brother Kaka,
today.
I just wanted to iterate that contrary to popular belief, the Gambians are welcoming us from America, and there's a lot that we can do coming from where we are over there. You're saying that there's plenty of opportunity in that country.
This is true. The exchange rate is 50-1 here. For every American dollar, you get 50 Gambian Dalasi, is what they call them. So you can buy a Mercedes over here for $3,000 to $5,000. Well, they use them as cash.
Right. So let me say, so basically your trip, you went to a couple of countries, and I guess was your initial intent of possibly planting some future roots there, or buying some land and things like that?
That's what I came over. The whole purpose was to look at some land here and then go to Ghana. Now, Ghana gets a lot of press, but I could never get in touch with anybody at the embassy to get a visa, and you can't get on the plane if you don't have a visa. And I could never get in touch with the Ghanaian embassy here. They closed it down. We tried to find the consulate. That's closed, so I couldn't get a visa, so I had to cancel my trip to go to Ghana, because I wanted to go to Ghana and hook up with Steve Coakley's son, the name dropper. Well, his son lives in Ghana. He's been there 5 years. So I had talked to him before I came, and he said he would show us. There's a new development. There's over 400 plots, and a lot of African Americans have been buying them, and now they're starting to build. Now, Steve Coakley's son, he was the first person to build in this 400 plot new development. So I was going to go and get with him and try to buy some land, but I couldn't get into the country. So I had to cut my trip short, plus my sister's in the hospital, so I'm going to have to get back. But while I'm here, I've been looking at opportunities. They need everything. Everything. They need our knowledge, our know-how, and some of our money. Like I said, it's 50-1. So my handler, Mudu, he showed me a picture of the money that he had gotten from someone who was buying some property. And he told me it was $18,000, and in Gambian money it was $800,000.
Yeah, I seen the picture you sent me. That's crazy.
You see all that money on the table?
Yeah. That's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Now that's $800,000 of their dollars.
Wow.
And it's relatively inexpensive to stay here. You can get a meal for like $2, $3. So we come to the beach every day. Come to the beach. They have a lot of beachfront properties, like restaurants and hotels. And we make sure we visit a beach every day. But the transportation business is something, and you ought to see the handcrafted furniture that they make here.
Oh yeah.
These beds look like they're made for a royal couple. So in April and October, down in High Point, North Carolina, they have the International Furniture Show. People come from all over the world to buy furniture in the United States and have it shipped. So what I'm looking into now is seeing if I can ship some sample pieces over to the United States because the show is in October. So I'm gonna try to get some pieces from here. And have you seen my pictures of the furniture on Facebook?
No,
I have not.
No, I haven't.
Man, you ought to look at. I put pictures up. I've been putting up posts like every time we go somewhere. I'll put a post. And so I went to the wholesaler, the furniture wholesaler. You've never seen anything like it. This stuff is handcrafted, designed and made to order, and it's real wood. It's not that sawdust stuff with veneer on it that they sell up. This is real wood. You've never
James
seen
Brown is
anything
on the
like
line. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah. Okay, I will. Well, brother, my brother on the books, my brother with boots on the ground over there in Africa, brother, we appreciate you. We got to go to our break. Man, thank you for giving us an update on what's going on. My heart is just soaring right now. I can't wait till I get over there, brother. But, hey, I sent you over there as a scout, brother, so you bring all that information and knowledge back so we can share with our folks who may have some intentions of going over there and partaking in the motherland, because I've been preaching that and toting that horn forever, and so it's glad to have a brother with boots on the ground that firsthand, another brother that can tell us what's going on over there. My brother, I appreciate you. Be safe, man, and be looking forward to when you get back. I know you may not be looking forward to coming back, but we'll be looking forward to having you back over here so we can really just sit down and talk about and how we can further our causes and connecting us to them, because it's important, my brother.
Yes, sir. And I'll try to come to the event in June. I'll be back later on. I'll be back in about another 10 days.
Okay,
my brother. Appreciate you now.
All right.
Okay.
All right. See you guys.
All right.
Much love.
Much love.
11:18 on 360 Info Network, AM 1490. This is 360 Information Network. I'm Vince Robinson along with my brother, Antonio. We just spoke with Brother Bruce Barnes, a.k.a. Kaka. We're going to be speaking with Dr. James Brown, our resident physician here at 360 Info Network when we come back. We'll be right back. Welcome back. 360 Info Network with Antonio and yours truly, Vince Robinson. We are being joined by our resident physician, Dr. James Brown. We could give him an elaborate introduction, but we'll just say that he is one of the greatest brothers living in the city of Cleveland, and we are blessed to have him in our city and on the air with us. Welcome to 360 Info Network, Dr. Brown.
Good morning, Vince. Good morning, Lynn. How you brothers doing?
Doing quite well.
Hanging in there. Hanging in there. Like you said, we're happy to see that rise shining nice and bright today. People don't know what we're talking about. That great thing that we call the sun, blessing us with a little vitamin D that we know we need up in this northern hemisphere, because, something that we talked about, Doc, is that how important let me say this, man. We should know by now, Doc, that it's going to be up to us to tend to our needs as far as taking care of ourselves and healing. And I say this for this reason. How many classes have you had where they actually came out and talked to you about the importance of vitamin D, as far as growing up and why you need it, or how many over 100 different ailments come from the lack of vitamin D, or the school is talking to you about melanin and why is it important to African American people and their diets and things of that nature. You're not getting that information growing up for the rest of your life. It's usually an afterthought after we got some ailment or something going on before you know those things. So that's why I wanted to talk a little bit about health again. And, and the importance of understanding that the mind, body, and spirit is one entity, and each one of them has to be nourished if we're going to talk about true healing, the true healing process. So I wanted to kick off by speaking a little bit on that importance, Doc. What's your take on it?
Well, there are actually 7 bodies that we have. I think we'll concentrate on 3 today for today's conversation because those are the ones that are most accessible and the one that we can have the most impact on. The other four are very ethereal, very subtle energies, and I don't know that it would be appropriate for this conversation right now. But for those who are interested, if they study any text on the Kabbalah, they'll, understand those other four bodies. But right now we have our physical body, we have our electromagnetic energy body called the chi body, the pranic body, or emotional body. And then we have our mental body. And each one requires nourishment. And if they're not nourished properly, the disease can start setting up somewhere in the energetic plane before it manifests itself in your cells, in your tissues, in your organs, in your body. And so we have to take care of all three of those at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So, Dr. Brown, with what you just shared with us, would you say that there is an emotional component to some of the disease and dysfunction that we experience? We talk often about how food either negatively or positively affects us, but, there are some emotional issues that can cause us to have dysfunction as well.
Well, if we break down the word emotion, it simply is a term that was contracted from energy in motion. And that's all an emotion is. It's the movement of energy. And then human beings will put a word to it. I feel a certain something going on, and I'll call it sadness. I feel a little something going on, and I'll call it happiness, or I'll call it I'm worried, or I'll call it I'm frustrated, or I'm angry. But all it is an energy that we're experiencing. And as we go through the day, most people aren't aware that when they indulge these various energies, they are losing energy in that indulgence. The only one that really vitalizes us is the emotion of joy, and its component is peacefulness. But if you're feeling frustrated, resentful, worrying, anger, grief, you are losing energy in that regards. And that's why it's so important to have a regular breathing exercise, some yoga, some qigong, because then you're cultivating your energy. You're taking the energy that was given to you through food, and we can talk about the physical body next. The energy that was given to you through food, and you're harnessing it, you're growing it, you're cultivating it, and with your breathing practices, you're moving it throughout all the systems in your body. In the absence of that, the energy gets stagnated, and that stagnated energy will show up as a disease or malfunction in the physical body, or even in your emotional expressions.
Right. See, that's critical. Like I say again, those are things that you don't get in school. You don't pick up here and there, and it's very important. And one other thing that I think that is crucial and critical for us to know, and we talked about it in the forum that we had back in August, of us understanding the unseen world. Some of the things we may or may not can explain when we talk about, we call it spirituality, but in a lot of our texts that we read, you hear them talk about, it's the unseen that rules the scene. The science world is talking about this grid that all energy is connected to, which is connected to everything in the universe and things of that nature. I think it's important for us to understand that these outside entities that we can't see, how it's, influence us, in our day-to-days, because we go through life, day-to-day, every day, and that's unbeknownst to us that these energies are interacting. Because you got to ask yourself a question: why does colors affect me? Why does sound affect me? Why does fragrances and smells affect me? So what's your take on that, Doc?
Well, I think an easy example is how each person's favorite song makes them feel a certain way and start to move a certain way. Vince is a musician, and he knows how certain chords, will affect people. So when he's composing a song, he'll know when somebody is going to feel this and want to move, or when they're going to want to, express themselves, or to get up, or hum, because that's the energy of the music moving the energy of your being to do something. Mm-hmm. Just like if you go into if you went into a building that was painted all black on the outside, and you walk in and it's all black on the inside, you're going to feel different than if a building is painted pink on the outside and it's bright orange on the inside. How the colors, because those colors have a vibrational energy which touches your vibrational energy, and then it will move energy in you a certain way, and then our brain will want to give it a label. It'll give it a word. Oh, wow, this makes me feel good. This makes me feel sad. We'll attach a word to the energy that we're feeling.
Right. You know what? I was listening to something from Sadhguru, one of the India yogis, and he said something that was very important. I think would help us on our day to day, because we all know in science and physics and biology that black absorbs energy, white reflects energy. So he was talking about being careful in wearing black when you're going out to certain functions or programs or things of that nature. He was warning, not to wear black, if you didn't want that energy to be possessed with whatever energy is in that particular atmosphere. And I know a lot of times, when we go to funerals and stuff like that, we wear black, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but he was expounding on that concept of understanding how, energy works like that. So wearing black, when you were speaking about colors, if you don't want that energy that you're around at that present moment to be absorbed by you shouldn't be wearing black.
Well, you bring up a very good point, which is why in African society, for funerals, they wear white. They don't wear black. Same for Central and South America. They don't, the many of them who are Catholic, yes, they will wear black. But left to their indigenous cultural leanings, they will wear white at a funeral for the exact same point that you're talking about, because that grief or despair or the sorrow that some people who don't know better and can't handle are expressing at the transition of a loved one, as they're sending that energy out, you don't want to absorb that energy. So you wear white to reflect it off of you. Also, white is also the symbol of the highest part of our being, what they would call the Atma aspect, or the Buddha part, or what in Kemetic science, Osir. That's the highest part of our being. But you notice how the Catholic priests and the nuns like to wear black. Well, there's another reason for wearing black also, because it also can mask what you are generating on the inside, being surreptitious. As they say, cloak oneself. That's why the magicians wore black cloaks, because they're hiding what they're doing under the surface. Because like a black hole does not allow any light, a black hole in space. It's a star that is so dense that its gravity is so strong, it's pulling whatever light is there into itself, and you can't see the light. So it's hiding itself in the shadow of blackness.
Dr. Brown,
so Doc, quickly before we move on, Doc, just quickly then, we're speaking on that part, that entity, which we're talking about 3 of them. Quickly, what do you suggest that can help us in that healing process or nourishment process?
So let's start from physical body first. So, we are designed number one, because of the length of our intestinal tract and the shape of our teeth, to be vegetarians. We are not designed to eat meat. Now, we have free will, so you can choose to eat meat. However, you're going to experience certain kinds of dysfunction because of that. So, number one is the right kind of diet. And what you're basically doing when you're eating plants, vegetables, even when you're eating meat, because most meat that we eat, whether it's a chicken, it's a fish, it's a cow, it's a pig, ate vegetation for its life force. So when you eat meat, you're just getting the vegetation through a secondary source. But what do fruits and vegetables have in common? They make their food substance from sunlight. So when we eat, we're actually bringing sunlight from outside to inside of us to nourish us. Now, when we're getting the protein and the carbohydrates and the fat and the minerals and the vitamins, those are the structural things that we use to repair the molecules in our body, the physical substance in our body. But when you're eating dead things like dead animals, you're not getting a vibrant life energy. You want to eat things that are alive to preserve your being alive. So when you eat plants and vegetables, they still have a life force within them. And you're ingesting not just the atoms and the molecules and the minerals, but you're also ingesting a life force. And you're going to use that life force to replace the life force that you've used in your day-to-day activities. So the first thing is proper diet. That takes care of our physical body. Now, the emotional body that we were talking about, it's called the breathing body or the pranic body for one good reason. That is nourished through breathing practices. Most of us don't breathe properly. We breathe from our chest. Proper breathing is done through the abdomen. When you do that, you expand your lungs to about 25 to 30% more, so you're getting in much more oxygen. And that's why, you were talking to me before the show. I said, I'm out here sitting in the park because I'm sitting around the grass, the trees which are in bloom now, and they have their leaves. The evergreen trees are still here. They are emitting oxygen, and I'm giving off carbon dioxide. So I am in this symbiotic relationship with the plant life around me. I'm nourishing myself with the oxygen that they're giving off. I'm breathing that in, and they're nourishing themselves with the carbon dioxide that I give off. And so we're in this symbiotic relationship with another life form, and we're sharing this. That's also vivifying my being, but I'm also ingesting that oxygen, and then through certain breathing practices. You can do fire breathing, you can do alternate nostril breathing, you can do zazen breathing. But by breathing in certain kind of ways, you're bringing in this pranic energy, which is ionized oxygen, because it's from the sunlight that hits the atmosphere, ionizes the oxygen, which supercharges it. You breathe that in, and then through the breathing practices, you circulate that to all the cells in your body. That's why when you're outside in the sunlight, you feel differently than in your inside in the house where the air is stagnant and you got the windows, the blinds pulled, and there's no sunlight. You feel completely different that way. And then I'll take a break here, but then there's the mental body that we can talk about too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's, I think it's crucial. Go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, I just wanted to come back to the idea of prana, because you talked about it earlier in the broadcast and you came back to it. And it just occurred to me when you brought it up the first time how significant it is that so much of our psyche has been occupied by the thought of breathing or not breathing. We've been walking around for the past 2 years wearing masks. And so, again, consciousness and focus has been on breathing, but it wasn't on breathing with the purpose of moving energy within our body. And as you described what breath can do for us, the role that it plays in our lives, it just seems so important that we fully understand what we should be doing in terms of these exercises. You mentioned yoga, you mentioned qigong, tai chi, other kinds of things. We really must get a full and total understanding of how we can use breath to be a healing force in our lives. So I just wanted to bring our attention back to that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think we're on autopilot dummy down in this country, really. And it's a shame to see that we have gotten to the point to where critical thinking and independent thinking is really out for this time frame. And I say that to say that, because of our history in this country and being and looking at the mythology, the philosophy and things of this country and the way we do things, we tend to, as a people, just to go along with it and don't connect the dots. Now you just gave an example, an analogy about the tree. Now I think we all can agree that we need the tree because it gives off oxygen, and that's something that we need. We can agree to that. And it takes in there's that relationship that you talk about with us and the trees. Shouldn't we think that these trees should be treated with some type of sacredness, because this is a relationship, that perpetuates life, but we tend to be, our senses tend to be dull, and we don't tend to look at that tree as something very significant to our very existence, like indigenous people all over the planet does. So this is why we need to break free and have schools of thought to actually really train ourselves from youth to adults about these particular things. And it is a wonder why we having issues with health problems over in this country.
Well, this is a circular problem. Number one is, if you're not getting enough oxygen and breathing properly, you don't get enough oxygen to your brain. If there's not enough oxygen going to your brain, or you're breathing only from your chest, then you live your life in somewhat of a stuporous or not completely awake situation. So you're going through life, going through the motions, instead of, like you saying, being actively engaged with all the other living life forms around you, appreciating the squirrels running around trying to not get hit by cars, trying to find acorns that they planted sometime before, and realizing, wow, I've never seen a slow squirrel. I've never seen a squirrel with a limp. I've never seen a squirrel that can't climb a tree. The squirrels get old, without, contemplating little ideas like that, by being actively engaged in the world around us. But again, if you're not getting enough oxygen properly to your brain, you're partially asleep in our own lives. And that's what breathing properly helps to do, because it really activates certain parts of the brain to wake us up, to get us out of trance, to get us more consciously involved in our life. And when you do that, you make better choices down the line in terms of how you're going to care for your health and well-being and those around you, and how you're going to protect and grow your community. So that, while we're looking, for, people are going around and asking others to help when we could be doing so much of this on our own. But we need to be awake. We need to nourish our mental and our emotional body with the right kinds of substances that will help us to be actively awake, conscious, and aware.
Along with that consciousness, I think you would agree, and based on things that I've learned from you and studied in materials that you've given, is that you also have an ability to affect outcomes and affect things that happen around you based on your level of consciousness and your engagement and connection with the Creator.
And, and your energy level. You remember when Wayne and I were at your conference, Lynn, last June. And when Wayne came on and he went around and felt people's chi body and how he could actually, his chi was so powerful that he could actually feel the chi from other people. So that's what happens with your breathing practices and manipulating your energy, because anything that you want to get done, if you want to get up and walk from here to the bathroom, it requires energy. If you want to, go and be with somebody, that getting up, moving, driving, walking, being engaged requires energy. So everything that we have to do requires energy. Even when you're sitting still, your body is using energy to digest your food, to detoxify poisons. It's using energy for your heart to beat. It's using energy for your lungs to go in and out. So you have to cultivate your energy. As your energy body grows, then you can use your mental body, correct thought, and manipulate your energy, which is what causes effects in our physiology, but also in our social sphere, how it reaches out and engages other people. Sometimes you can be with somebody who's feeling a little bit sad, and you can start, because you don't feel sad and you want to cheer them up, get them to laughing, get them talking, and all of a sudden now they feel happier in your presence than they did when they were alone. Or the converse. Your energy may not be what it should be, and somebody comes to you and they're kind of sad or frustrated, and in the involvement with them, all of a sudden now you start feeling a little sad, a little frustrated.
Right,
but it's transference and manipulation of energy. And so you want to keep, we want to keep ours vitalized and very active and optimum, so that when we encounter people who are not doing well, we can use our energy to help boost them up, and at the very best, not let their energy impact us to bring us down, to devitalize us. That's part of being healthy, is being able to use that as a defense mechanism, just like we use vitamin C and vitamin D to kill off any kind of viruses or bacteria that get into our system. We can use our chi body to keep, harmful energies away from us.
Hey, Doc, we're about to go on a break, but I'm going to throw you under the bus right now. I'm just laughing to myself about the question I'm about to say and bring this on the table. Coming after the break, we'll get into it and engage. How important is understanding? I mean, this is...
Welcome back to 360 Info Network with your hosts, Hamtonio and Vince Robinson. Our guest is Dr. James Brown, our resident physician and spiritual guru. Like I said, I'm putting that on him. It is what it is, and thankfully he is who he is, and he does what he does. Before we took the break, Brother Hamtonio was posing a question related to the sacredness of our sexuality and relationships. So if you'd like to restate the question, or if Dr. Brown has a full enough understanding, he can respond.
So you were talking about relationships, intimate relationships, male, female, and energy. Let me just talk about our third body for just a moment. So the third body is the mental body, how our thoughts, what we choose to engage in as beliefs, opinions, or convictions. If I believe that you hate me, I am going to treat you and have an attitude and behave around you in a certain kind of way. That thought or conviction that I'm carrying is going to make me behave a certain way. And it's also, as I carry that thought of you hating me, it's going to put a certain physiological setup in my being. I'll be in a fight or flight response because I have to protect myself from somebody who's going to hate me, which means it'll make my adrenaline level go up. It'll make my cortisol level go up. It will shunt blood from my internal organs into my arms and legs, thereby starving them for energy and blood. So how our thoughts are directly connected to our energy reactions, and the energy reactions are directly connected to our physical behaviors. That being said, that's the mental body. So how do we nourish the mental body? We nourish it by thinking in a certain kind of way, by thinking with holistic principles. I believe Wayne at one of his CSU lectures talk about the 7 hermetic principles: rhythm, unity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So having a holistic concept of the sacredness of life, holding those attitudes that it is love that holds things together, that I have no particular enemy. There may be somebody who's against my interest, but they can't be against me because there's only oneness. Having certain kinds of thought patterns then governs the electromagnetic energy and then which governs the physical body. That's another part of being healthy. That being said, yes, so when there is the coming together of yin and yang, male and female, which in all aspects, there are physical human beings that are, some are male, some are female. Females have a lot more estrogen than males. Males have a lot more testosterone than females. But that is a principle on the physical plane that is carried through every aspect of the metaphysical plane. This yin and yang, or in Kemet, we called it Shu and Tefnut. There is that cool moisture principle, and then there's the hot, fiery principle that comes together. Usually the hot, fiery principle is called the male. The cool, watery one is called the female. The female is the receptor. The male is the initiator. So in a relationship like this, as the woman is the receptor and she is the nourisher and the bringer forth of life, your attitudes and behavior that you engage in that relationship is going to be incubated by that female. It's going to be grown, and then it's going to be given life. So if you want to mistreat her, if you want to talk bad, expect that to be nourished in her and grow into your relationship as the product that you're producing. If you want a loving, harmonious relationship, initiate that with her. She will grow and magnify that and give life to that in your relationship. In the physical coming together, on the mundane physical level, the most basic aspect is you can produce a physical baby. But in the metaphysical aspects, you will produce life in that situation. So when the male and the female come together, a certain attitude and a certain mindset should be present. There should be wonderful feelings about each other, love involved in that. Love meaning not that I feel good when you're around me. Love meaning that I am willing to give to you expecting nothing in return, because that's what true love is. It is the giving expecting nothing in return. That's it at its highest principle. So coming together with that kind of attitude and mindset, with generating that tremendous arousal energy, which is when you feel aroused in that relationship, that's the Kundalini rising from the Manipura and the Muladhara chakras, going up into the Anahata or the heart chakra and on up further. So as that Kundalini is rising, there's a lot of things that can be accomplished in your relationship with that. If you want to increase your finances, you can focus on that during that time. If you want to work on a community project, if there's a project that one or both of you are involved in, a job that you want to get, you can use that and use that arousal of the energy to help bring what you're initiating into life. So, yes, whether you perceive it as sacred, it is a God-given sacred act. And because we don't know that it is, we profane and diminish its importance in our lives as just something for pleasure. And it is for that, but 1,000 times more powerful than that.
Well said, my brother. Well said. Very good. Very good. Yes, and that is so important. But again, by living here in westernized thinking, they have, reduced this, importance to us. And this is all we see. That's something we can talk about too. All the stuff we take in and see and hear, how it affects everything about us. And since most things over here in this country is not based on those particular principles, on low-level energy type of things, we tend to stay resident in that spot and never growing and never reaching our potential. So information
is important. Let me just say real quickly, that is purposeful. They purposely keep sex on such a physical, animal, shall we say, level, because they understand how powerful it is. And if we used it like the God men and God women that we are, we would eliminate the situations that we're in around the world in one generation, because that's how powerful the energy is. But keeping us down on the level of animals and just having men spill their seed, having women provocatively dressed without proper preconditions, keeps us on the level of animals, and we negate the spiritual effects of this energy that is extremely powerful, the one that spawns new galaxies and keeps them rotating around each other without crashing in.
Well, Dr. Brown, you just dropped a huge gem on us, and if nothing else, people should understand the power of the creative energy that is involved in that and what you can do if you properly channel it. You can increase your finances. You can benefit the community. You can do a lot more than just create a baby. Thank you for joining us this morning on 360 Info Network. And as always, thank you for your wisdom and knowledge.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right. Dr. James Brown right here on 360 Info Network. Brother Antonio, we got about a minute.
Yes, just to remind you, give me a call, 216-323-6155. If you're interested in the June events, being a vendor, being a part, and also if you want summer camp for your kids at Cleveland State, give me a call. I'll give you more information. We have where they make math fun and help tutor your kids. So give me a call. I'll give you that link and that information. It's free. All
right. Don't forget, next Sunday, Larchmere Arts, May 15th, the Glenn Holmes Quartet will be there. THASOULPOET at Cash App, and you can make your $12 reservations. We'd like to thank our engineer, Heaven. Thanks for pulling us together today. Thank you for listening. Know yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Make today your best day, Cleveland. Peace.
Peace.